Hey! Welcome to the second video in the Unnamed Heed video series.
Maybe we should work on that.
Yeah,
between now and
that is our commitment
number
to you, all three viewers who watch this. We will have a name for this next go round. Yeah. So we'll just do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we well, here comes Junior. No, there goes Junior. He's gone. All right. So wanted to obviously continue this video series that we started a few days ago, maybe a week and a half. I've lost all track of time. I don't know. I think it's Friday.
I
April
didn't know that
3rd.
off the top of my head until you said that.
Yeah. So it's Friday.
Yeah.
But we want to keep this thing going. I thought maybe the first thing we would do before we got into the content for the second video or whatever we want to talk about is kind of revisit what we discussed in our first video. I guess the main gist of our first video was, in these crazy days, crazy times, not to go dark on your communications strategy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, everyone is having to change what they're focusing on or working on or reshuffling the deck, so to speak. But the number one thing is to not go dark. And so we presented three communications types projects that you can be working on in the middle of COVID-19. The first one that we put out there was to figure out ways that your business, whatever entity you're responsible for, can fit into the overarching COVID narrative that is dominating the media landscape, but to do it with relevance in mind and a kind of a sense of empathy in your outreach. Mm-hmm. The second one?
Find new ways to engage. Video, like we're doing right
That's
here.
What we're here for. Video, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, using all these channels that are free, that we have access to, that everybody's scrolling through nonstop right now. Figure out ways to
educate, just stay in front of people. Yeah.
And then the third one was to just go ahead and start planning on those post-COVID communications ideas and strategies. Again, we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know exactly what the lay of the land is going to look like afterwards, but we do know what we do and what we're responsible for and what our project or our products, our services are. And we're going to have to reintroduce those into a totally different landscape at some point.
And it feels nice to think about a time outside of this current existence.
Yeah, so when the clouds part and all that.
It's kind of therapeutic at the same time.
Yeah, so that's what we talked about in the last one. If you want to check that out, we've got that linked in the blog on our website, heedpr.com. So give that a look if you haven't seen it yet. But what we wanted to focus on today was cause marketing, and really taking this moment to get back to what our core DNA of our organization, whether it be a business, nonprofit, solopreneur, whatever. This is a really good opportunity to be doing that. And I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about cause marketing. It was something that we briefly touched on in the last video when we were talking about different ways that people can get engaged with the COVID narrative.
Authentically.
In a way that makes sense. But wanted to take a moment to get back to that and talk a little bit more about cause marketing and what that might look like and why it's something that we think you should possibly be investing in at this time. So the first thing is, what is cause marketing? Essentially, cause marketing is doing good with your organization or the entity that you work with, this nonprofit or whatnot. And doing that as a way to really elevate the reputation of your brand. Even though it has the word marketing in it, we tend to think of cause marketing as a public relations effort. And the reason for that is cause marketing is focused on an organization's why. Mm-hmm. And I like to say that one of the big differences between traditional marketing, in the way that we think of it in PR, is marketing tends to focus on your what you have to sell or what you're giving away or whatever. And PR really gets to the why. It's something a little more deep. And when you're thinking about cause marketing and doing something good for fellow mankind or other businesses or whatever, you're typically doing that without the understanding that you're going to reap immediate benefits from it. You know, it's not like people are going to click a button and buy something once they see that you've done good. But what it does do is it elevates people's perception of your organization and really highlights and showcases to the world that you are guided by a North Star that's not just focused on revenue. And in an age where so many people are already hurting and needing help, this is a great time to be employing cause marketing efforts. So a few examples that we wanted to talk about that some of our clients are doing of like quality cause marketing, or maybe just from kind of the archives of our own personal experience. I know when you were, was it at Collier Construction?
Yeah, that was probably my first real hands-on experience with cause marketing. So Collier Construction, it's a small business construction company here in Chattanooga. They did a lot of projects, cause marketing projects. One in particular that always comes to mind is the Chattanooga Arboretum and Nature Center at one point needed a new eagle enclosure, and EPR can't do that. We cannot dig giant holes for telephone poles and affix them in a way that will remain standing. But Collier could. They had access to the equipment they needed. They had people who knew how to run that equipment. And Collier being, they focus on environmental stewardship, green building, all that good stuff. So the Nature Center was a natural fit for them to focus on. It was a really, really cool project. We got to take some great photos, videos of that project being done. It was really, really neat, and a really fun way to kind of give back.
Yeah, and that's I think one of the things that Natalie was just touching on that's very important is it needs to be the most successful. There's a few hallmarks of the most successful cause marketing endeavors. And one of those is you are able to execute on a plan by using what you've already got. You don't want to be going out and having and reaching and stretching as the organization that's trying to pay something forward. Right. It needs to make sense with who you are and what your services already are. When I was communications director at Bellhops, which is a moving company, obviously we had access to a lot of muscle. The workforce was college-age guys typically, and then we had moving trucks. And so we figured out, hey, we've got moving trucks that have our name on them, and there are a couple days in the week in different markets where stuff is moving a little more slowly. So why don't we figure out a way to keep our guys active, get the truck moving through town, a billboard, and we're also doing something good that displays the core DNA of the company. And so we would work with senior citizens on National Senior Citizens Day, where we would give them any senior citizen an hour of free labor in their home. We would send the guys out there to do work, or we would also partner with local food pantries in different markets. And so on days, Tuesday morning when there's not a lot of moves happening, we were able to, load food into the trucks and then take them to remote food bank sites in these different markets. And so it made sense like that. Text Request, another business that we work with right now, a great client and partner to us. Obviously, they focus on business texting that enables a business to communicate openly and effectively and quickly with their core audiences. So now that so many restaurants have had to shift to that, delivery or curbside service, call-in framework, a lot of them are having to juggle a lot of inbound calls that they're not familiar with how to handle those. And so, Text Request is in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is their home turf. They are offering that service, their text-to-order service, free. for restaurants right now, because they want these restaurants that are built in Chattanooga just like them to make it through to the other side with them.
Yeah, definitely. So with all of that said, we wanted to kind of help you guys think of ways that you might be able to employ some cause marketing for your business.
Yeah, I think the first thing is to really take a moment to revisit your own, DNA.
Yeah, definitely. So when we started HEED, I was super nervous. I always tell everyone it was the scariest thing that I ever did, putting in my 2 weeks notice at my job at the time, despite the fact that we had gotten married, engaged, bought a house together, lived together, had a dog together, all those things. Somehow the business part was the scariest one. So what we did was we sat down and we mapped out our goals. And so obviously for us, personal and professional very much overlap. So what we did was we really talked about everything. But we also outlined some very specific desires for our business, and we still have those goals. They're written on a piece of paper. I actually pulled them out to look at them before we did this. And it's funny, we do have some goals talking about wanting to give back, but we don't have a lot of specifics around that. And we've done some things here and there, but I think it's a great time for us, and probably you guys too, to maybe sit down and think about business goals now if you had them from a few years ago. Maybe some cause marketing goals. I know right now we have a little bit more time on our hands than we did. We're not, traveling to meetings or doing board meetings or volunteer things because
people aren't getting together. Yeah, it's all shut down.
But so the good news about that is there is a little bit of extra time. And so a few things that we're going to be thinking through when we kind of map this out for ourselves and what you guys can work on too. First thing, ask yourself, what can you realistically give? Is it money? Is it consulting time? Is it manpower? You want to know what it is that you can give before you start offering anything to anyone. You don't want it to feel like a drain, which kind of leads me to the second point that we have here is be specific about what you're giving. We've both seen these situations where you feel like you're doing a good thing and it maybe turns into something a little bit different than what you had in mind.
There's a saying out there called no good deed goes unpunished, and that is often true. It's not necessarily true, but in an instance of cause marketing, when you're trying to connect with somebody or some other organization and help them out, you want to be very specific about what they are getting, what you're doing for them, what they are getting, what responsibilities are on your shoulders. It's just a principle in life that's it's business, personal, whatever. This applies to it. Like, you want mutually shared expectations of what this is going to look like. And the more you can kind of drill down on those and make sure everybody's on the same page, everybody's going to benefit big time from that.
Yeah, because I've seen those situations where not only is the person that's doing the good work, but the person receiving the good work, everybody's frustrated at the end if those expectations are mapped out really clearly at the very beginning.
Yeah. And then the third one, and we're going to, obviously, this is all going to be in a blog with this, so you can go back and read these pointers. But the third one is that you want to be able to pick causes, and I touched on it just a little bit. You want to pick causes that align with your business. So, again, you don't want to be stretching, because at the end of the day, you're already probably taxed for time and energy and resources and things like that. So you don't want to have to be going and building stuff from scratch or doing something that you're not really an expert already on. This needs to fit in your wheelhouse. It needs to be a home run for you, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be creating more difficult work for yourself.
Definitely.
You just want to be employing what you already do for a good cause.
Yeah.
So you need to be thinking about what makes sense for what you've already got. Another good example here locally in Chattanooga, EPB. Obviously, we have the fastest internet in the world, and So as all of these kids are no longer in school because they've all been sent home due to coronavirus, the EPB has gone around town and they've set up hot spots around town, especially in areas where people may not have access to high-speed internet or internet at all. Because if these kids are at home and they are responsible for continuing their education, they've got to be able to do that virtually, and you can't do that without fast internet.
Right.
And so EPB is taking it upon themselves to create those free hotspots. There's almost 30 of them, I believe, across Chattanooga. And so that's a really good example of what cause marketing can do, where they already do it.
Yep.
It's going to
Such a
benefit
natural
people.
fit.
And it's going to elevate the community perception and value of EPB. At the end of the day, listen, we do cause marketing for altruistic reasons. We want to do good, but at the same time, we also want to tell the world about it. And I would encourage people not to worry about thinking, oh, I don't want to brag to the world about doing good. You can do it without bragging. But the world, especially right now, when so many people in so many various positions are in need and they need a hand up, they need help. This is a moment where you do want to tell, this is what we're doing. And media, it wants to tell those stories as well. Because
especially in a time like we're in right now. We need some good stories. Some positive news to share.
Absolutely. So I guess that's it for us today. Cause marketing, and also dabbling a little bit and uncovering, getting back to what our core DNA is all about, and that relationship there, and hopefully helping people out. So we will see you again soon. Not sure when exactly, but
with a name.
There will be a name to this video series. So thanks a lot.